Hey, welcome to Two Cents, everybody. If you've never listened to the show, before we start, my name is Brian Gillis, and I'm here with...
You usually are the one that says my name. No, I'm Stephen Maltmanex.
Not usually, I'm just trying
Usually.
not to anymore.
No, it's good. Hey, change it
And
up a bit.
there you go. If you've never listened to this, basically, dollar reviews, we do Death Cinema, we do dollar reviews, we do, movie reviews, but we also do news, and that's what this is. It's not just movies, it's also TV, it's tech, it's basically anything that I thought was interesting over the past week. So this is May 15th, 2016, and we're going to talk about everything. Before we do, social media, we're all over the internet. As we already said, our real names, my name is Brian Gillis. I'm also on Twitter at Brian Gillis. It's BryonGillis. It's not that easy to say. It's not that easy to spell, but I made it sound simple, didn't I? We're also at Dollar Reviews on Facebook and Twitter. You can find us on YouTube, Stitcher, TuneIn, basically anywhere, Google Play Music even.
You can find me at
this
S_MTX, which is easy because it's just 4 letters, really.
Yeah, fuck you, okay? Not everyone's that simple.
Hey, but not everyone likes to hit the shift, though, when they got to type in the underscore. So
be
that's,
like,
yeah, no, I mean, that
Bry_Gill, Bry Gill. But yeah, this episode is basically
BRGIL.
Yeah, like I said, Bry Gill. That sounds
I took
horrible.
the Y off, but no,
but yeah,
never mind.
Never mind. Yeah, this episode is basically indebted to pilot season and con. Those were the two big things this week, and that's going to be the majority of what we're talking about. We changed the show around last week. It's not what it used to be. It's not 2 hours. It's hopefully going to be 1 hour. Hopefully, that's what it is this week as well. Before we get there, the latest episodes we got out, we got Death Cinemas for both Bound by the Wachowski siblings, and also we just did one for Cameron Crowe Singles, his second directorial movie. So you should listen to those if you haven't. And next week we're going to be doing Dollar Reviews. I'm going to be reviewing Uncharted 4, and hopefully The Nice Guys. You want to check that out? The Shane Black movie?
I want to. It's just whether or not my schedule will permit it. So I
let's
hope it'll get out in time, but it could be pretty late, honestly. Like, could be Saturday night, but
that's okay.
I
want to see it.
Try to see it.
Well, let's try to. You can hear what we listen to throughout the week on Dollar Reviews, and also what we listen to at the beginning, or reviewed anyway. But the first thing we do on the show is keeping tabs, where we talk about things that we've talked about on the show already, or things that you might already be aware of. The first one we're going to do is Guillermo del Toro. He has an exhibition at LACMA coming up soon. We have dates now, matter of fact. It's going to run from July 31st all the way until Thanksgiving. It's going to be a lot of stuff from not just his house, but also production for his films, most notably, obviously, being the Hellboy and also Pan's Labyrinth. I'm sure there's going to be Pacific Rim and Crimson Peak and just about anything he's ever worked on, drawings, behind-the-scenes stuff, props. I'm really excited. I'm definitely going to go. It's going to be the first time I'll ever go to LACMA besides when I went to see King Tut. I think that was 2005.
And I'm sure he's going to have...
I'm going.
It's a given there's going to be a ton of interesting stuff. I mean, it's not just from his work that you can see that he's just very passionate about the design of that, but goddamn, his stuff on Twitter, man, that man's a collector. Like,
he's the best thing on Twitter. There was Twitter before he joins, and now after. It's not just his film, it's also his comic book shops, his books, anything he recommends. The fact that this man takes a second out of his day to recommend things to the people that follow him on the internet, that gives you an idea of the kind of person he is.
And it's cool that's not always some big mainstream thing. Like, it might be something a little bit more
It's
obscure.
usually something small, yeah.
Yeah, and it's I'll see it, and then it'll remind me oh yeah, I did see that, or I read that. That's actually really good. I might want to check that out again. Or it's a good recommendation to get to something new. And, I've on my Netflix DVD queue. I've added some of the titles that he's put out there. I don't know if I've gotten them in yet, but
he put one out.
But yeah,
he recommended something 2 days ago that I favorited.
Yeah, you know which one?
I'll get to it in a couple days. No, I can't remember. I mean, I could check Twitter and actually recant it, or recite it rather. But I don't know off the top of my head. But I was like, that sounds really interesting. I'll check it out. It was something about grotesque things, and that's what he's into, and it's the macabre and all those all that shit. And that's what I think I love about him, because he seems like this fluffy teddy bear, but yet deep below the surface, he's a very grim, dark person that's into that's really sick shit. Not sick necessarily, because Pan's Labyrinth is a fairy tale, but yeah, if you're in the area, if you live in Southern California, definitely go to LACMA and check this out. I know I will. I'm gonna get a ticket. Maybe we can run into each other. That could be something I do. Maybe follow the show. We could do like a meetup at LACMA. That could be really fun. So keep your eyes posted. We'll be talking about that soon, I'm sure. Maybe a review of the exhibit itself in the coming months.
Just getting back to that, I don't know if I'd say sick shit with Guillermo del Toro, but
a little bit.
Yeah, no, it can definitely get dark. But there's always a hopeful note at the end of it all when it's. He's never ended anything of his on a cynical note, I feel, or not even the produced stuff. I think
it has a fairy tale nature. I don't know. I haven't seen all of his stuff. I didn't see Mama.
That one's good.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some darker stuff in his library. But moving on, this is pretty big. I mean, it's kind of funny just talking about it because I'm telling you what the trade said about what someone said on Instagram. But The Rock, he's producing and starring in Sony's new Jumanji remake or reboot, whatever you want to call it. It's directed by Jake Kasdan. It's coming out sometime next year. It was supposed to be Christmas this year, but now it's like summer next year, supposedly. Very wisely. But the latest news here is that Jack Black is joining the cast. It's obviously Dwayne Johnson. Kevin Hart was confirmed on Instagram. And there's still supposedly 2 more roles to be cast. If that wasn't cool enough that Jack Black's joining them, he also Instagrammed that Robin Williams' Alan Parrish character is going to be immortalized in some way. They're going to respect not just the character but the film. It's going to have its own place. So I'm very happy to know that.
I was what I think is very important. Clear with the casting too. Like right when I saw those choices, it was like, okay, you know what? That's good. I mean, it'll at least be its own thing.
No, yeah,
I'm not trying to replace Robin Williams at all. Clearly,
I think this is just going to be another film in the universe. It's like, Jumanji happened again. Another, at the end, if you've seen the 1996, I believe it was 95, 96 film, it ends very ambiguously. You hear the drums again, the board game still going, trying to get someone else. They led it up to a sequel. This is going to be a sequel / a reboot. Like that's fine as long it seems like they're going to pay respect to the first one. That's great. But what I think is really important here is this is a Sony film. The first one was a TriStar flick. This is going to be TriStar again, I believe. Is this kind of a sign that Jack Black is going to return to Sony for the Goosebumps sequel?
I don't know. I mean, or maybe that there's going to be a crossover. Who knows? But
I really hope that doesn't happen.
I don't want that. But hey, they're doing a 21 Jump Street and Men in Black crossover. So
yeah. So anything
if that
works
out for Sony, then they'll be like, you know what? We don't need to think this out carefully.
We can do anything.
Just take any of our properties.
We got our Spider-Man movies outside the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We can do anything at Sony.
Let's combine Maid of Honor with Spider-Man. That'll work.
Fuck that. Maid of Honor wasn't bad. That was okay.
No, it was okay. I don't know. Is that a Sony
It wasn't
movie?
27
I was
dresses.
To think of some sort of,
it could have been. I think so. It sounds like it could have been
something.
Yeah. I mean,
let's combine this
so many
is the end
movies.
With fuck it. I don't know. Gattaca. See how that turns out.
Sony needs whatever they can do because the only thing that is feasible for them, the only thing that works for them is PlayStation. That is their golden goose. It is their one profitable place in the industry. But good luck to them and good luck
Marvel
to
just did them
with
a big
this Jumanji
favor
remake.
Them a Spider-Man that people already love.
That's it wasn't
fucking Sony has made the movie. So
it wasn't a favor. They worked with them on that. They set precedent.
I know,
and speaking
but you
of
get what I mean, though, right? Is that
I definitely know what you
mean.
mean.
Set up, and there hasn't been the Sony brand on it yet.
What I'm saying here is that it's a great segue, mostly because what I was going to jump to next after Jumanji is the X-Men sequel. Apocalypse has already been reviewed. It's been lukewarm, to say the best.
Really?
It's pretty smart on Fox's part because they allowed the embargo to be lifted this soon because that means everyone's going to forget about the reviews by the time the movie actually comes out in about a week. But the next one, Simon Kinberg...
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically.
Damn it,
THR is saying like it suffered from the Batman vs Superman curse, that it's too dark, it's too menacing, it's not enough of an X-Men movie. I don't give a
That's
shit.
bummer.
I'll see it on my
Yeah,
own,
I
maybe
really
in
am
theaters,
looking forward to
maybe
it,
at home.
more so than Civil War. But
Yeah,
that's a bummer
yeah,
to
but
hear. I hope I dig it at least.
the news item here is that the sequel, or one of the X-Men movies, the next one is going to be set in the 90s, which makes sense. Days of Future, not Days of Future.
Yeah, no,
Backtrack. First Class was in the 60s. Days of Future Past was in the 70s. Apocalypse is in the 80s. It makes sense that the 90s is going to be next. And then it's funny because the first X-Men movie was 2000, so it's a logical jump. It's probably the end of this franchise, or at least this section of it. But yeah, there's no word if this 90s flick is going to be the next X-Men movie, the New Mutant spinoff, or the Channing Tatum
yeah,
Gambit.
I mean, this is supposed to be the end of a trilogy, right? For Apocalypse.
Perhaps,
that's what
yeah.
I'm under the impression. That's what Bryan Singer has called it, I believe.
I perhaps. I have no clue. Who knows anymore? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, there were 3 X-Men movies, there's 3 prequel movies, there's 3 Wolverine movies. Trilogies all
I wish
around,
I could trust
but
people when they say that they're actually going to be done with something. But like, yeah, it's always like, oh no, we're going to do one more. You know, Transformers
that
3,
is
that
Hollywood.
was supposed to be the end of a trilogy. Oh
No,
no,
that
now
wasn't
we
a
got
real
Mark
trilogy,
Wahlberg then.
guys.
Yeah.
The
new
Age
stuff.
of Extinction is a new trilogy, guys. Don't worry.
Now let me just count this money. How many dump trucks do I have out back?
Ben, can't you see I'm busy here? Can you call cut? Never mind. But yeah, X-Men was in the news a couple of times this week. If that 90s thing wasn't good enough, a little hint, Simon Kinberg, the producers, also confirmed that the third solo Wolverine movie is taking the R-rated route. Surprise, surprise there, folks.
This is something we heard about months ago.
Months ago. That it was a rumor, now it is confirmed. He said it, that means it's set in stone. It's also going to have a Western quote unquote, which basically points to Old Man Logan route, which is great. There's a problem there because I've actually read that comic. The Hulk plays a big role in it. It's a great story. It makes sense, especially if this is Hugh Jackman's actual last role. Patrick Stewart's also going to be reprising the role of Professor X in it. But I don't know. I'm sure it's going to be fun. I'm sure I'm going to like it. It just seems weird to jump from feudal Japan to End of Days, if that's actually the route they're doing. But power to them, it's Fox. They have a pretty good track record outside the Fantastic Four.
If you want to be accurate, though, I'm just saying the technical jump was that you went from feudal Japan to Days of Future Past, and I think that's chronology right there. But
Sorta.
no, hey, I am the fan of things just standing on their own terms, and so yeah, I'm definitely happy about that. And also, I have not read Old Man Logan, but even if I had, this is where you and I tend to differ, though, is that I tend to think that the movie should just be its own thing. I know that the Civil War comic itself uses Spider-Man in a completely different way, and people have issues with that.
Well, yeah, I know in the comic spoilers that Spider-Man's identity is revealed.
Yeah,
I know that. That obviously did not happen. Yeah, that did not happen in the movie, obviously, because Spider-Man was not even...
He wasn't written for the movie originally. He was just thrown in there, and he really has no business of being in the movie.
You can shut up about that, because he's the best part of the movie.
Hey, people like it. I'm just saying, he is not...
He's just the best part of the movie, and your mic got unplugged.
Sorry,
that's cool.
Yeah, my
there
mic
you go.
Just dropped out for a bit. Yeah, no. What I'm saying is, he could have been better just introduced, or at least fit in the narrative some way. But yeah, he's just there as an introduction. He's just filler.
They can hear that in our Civil War review, our last week 2 cents. You like talking about that.
Well, because I have this conversation all the time. People are like, "Oh, he's the best part." It's like he really has no reason being in there. You could take him out of the script, and it's the same movie. Like
it isn't the same movie. He's the best part of the movie. If he was in the movie, it would be very somber, very downtrodden, very morose, very serious.
Yeah, and
then you get this fucking web crawler coming in.
Given the subject matter that it was, I mean, it'd be
Marvel movies
need
a better levity.
Serious film than Batman vs Superman. I got no problem with that. I don't know.
Marvel
why
movies
else does.
are never all serious. They're pretty comical. They're fantastic. They have that comic relief throughout, mostly. Look at Michael Pena and Ant-Man, the best part of it. look at most of the Guardians of the
No, Winter
Galaxy, in
Soldier
particular
is pretty
Chris Pratt.
serious, honestly. Like
That one,
yeah.
that one's pretty
Yeah,
serious.
it's
but
not
you
like
still
Batman versus
have
Superman was absent of humor. There is humor in there as relief from the serious moments, but it's just not. It's not about the joy and having fun. And you know what? Yeah, I do think that that makes it a better movie if it is more serious and yet you have humorous moments of relief. It gives it a better sense of reality. And I do think that it was a bit more distracting to have Spider-Man in there when he had no business being there.
Well, that's the MCU, but talking about the Fox MCU, I guess you could call it, Kingsburg in this shit that he was talking about with, X-Men and Wolverine in the 90s, he also let loose that he's looking at a way to course correct with the Fantastic Four and find a tone that's more true to the actual comics in the sequel. And long story short, he wants to keep that cast together. And there's good reason, because you got Michael B. Jordan, you got Miles Teller, you got, what's her name from House of Cards?
The one that's not ruining
Kate Mara.
Kate Mara, yeah.
Yeah, you got a good cast, plus you also got Ben Grimm, a.k.a. Billy Elliot. You got a good cast. What's funny here is it was just announced, I'm sure this is a surprise to you, so this is breaking news for just Steve, and maybe for your listeners, but Michael B. Jordan has joined Lupita Nyong'o as the new cast members of Black Panther. So, if a Fantastic Four movie does get its sequel, Michael B. Jordan's going to be in 2 Marvel movies at the same time, which is going to be fun.
Apparently you take issue with that.
No, not in this case, because they're separate. I take issue with the same universe casting the same person in 2 different roles. If you miss that episode,
and then what happens
2
if
cents,
they make a deal with Fox and they're able to cross them over, and then you can have a split
then that's a
Michael B.
problem.
Jordan. No, come on, that'd be awesome.
No, Michael B. Jordan playing 2 roles at the same time.
It could
Hey,
be done.
I'm
That's been done before.
I'm the bad guy. No.
In Sam Rockwell and Moon, I don't know, Lindsay Lohan in The Parent Trap, Tom Hardy in Legend.
No.
Yeah.
It'd be fucking stupid.
Are you kidding me?
It would be
awesome.
really stupid.
If he's able to pull it off and differentiate the two, then that's good on him. That's him being a fucking awesome actor. That's him kicking ass at his job.
I don't know. The news here is that, like I said, Michael B. Jordan's in Black Panther now. This means that Ryan Coogler has never made a movie without Michael B. Jordan. He's probably scared to do it without him.
Well, this
He's
is what I
obviously
mean
in
to ask
Creed.
you, is that
Before that, he was in
important is the
Fruitvale
role that he's
Station.
got?
No one knows. No one knows what Lupita Nyong'o's doing either. It's a mystery right now. That is Marvel's status quo. That is like what they like to do. And like I said, this is just keeping tabs. So this is just quick facts. It's not news. I don't have all the info. No one has any of the info. There's speculation. You can check THR. You can check /film. They have their conspiracy theories. I don't have any personally. I don't read Marvel. I got no clue as to who he could be. It might be a baddie. I would like that. He's always been the good guy. I'd like to see him on the other side of the black and white fence.
If they could, I mean, that'd be interesting if they do that, but I don't know. Who knows if they'll allow it? I mean, he's way too liked by an audience right now that it'd be like casting Will Smith as a villain.
That's why it'd be good, though. That's what I would like
good.
about it. And Will Smith is a villain in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, technically he's a bad guy, but he's
a villain.
He's one of the heroes of that movie.
He's not a hero.
One of the heroes of the movie, not necessarily.
He's a protagonist from the anti-hero side of things.
Exactly.
He's definitely a bad guy.
We are supposed to be rooting for him, or we're at least supposed to be. Following him and being.
But Deadshot is a mercenary that will, kill anyone if the contract's up. That's who he is.
I don't get that sense from the trailers at all, though. Just based on.
Well, they're not trying to give you that.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, it'd be awesome if they do it. Just him going against type, but I don't know. Who knows if they will let him? But we don't even know what they're doing. So,
jumping back from DC to MCU, it broke out that something pretty groundbreaking. We already talked about the landing strip, not landing strip, but the fucking airplane sequence in Civil War. How it's probably the best thing in the movie.
Not really, but okay.
News broke. That was shot using the Arri Alexa 65, which means that whole sequence is visually going to represent what Infinity War is going to look like. Infinity War, if you don't know, is going to be shot entirely on the Arri Alexa 65s. It's going to be IMAX ready in almost 4K. And so yeah, that is our sneak peek to what the Russo brothers can do with that camera.
Well, for the people that saw it in IMAX,
I really,
especially, we did not.
especially
Yeah.
yeah, but even still, it looked great what they were able to capture with it. I'm 100% ready for what they're doing with Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2, I guess you can say. So I'm excited, knowing that they've already done their little litmus test. They did their beta phase, that they went full throat. They deep-throated that camera, and they gave it their all. And they did it for, arguably the most important part of the film in terms of just spectacle alone. So it seems like they're comfortable with it, at least. There's also news about it being digital and backdrops and green screens and all this shit.
I
Who
mean,
cares?
the
But
camera's
I'm excited
not
about the
that
camera.
heavy either. It's just a
Yeah, it's
much
not a
better
full-frame
sensor.
IMAX.
Yeah, so it's not like it's not like a bulky, IMAX film camera or anything. I mean, I don't mean to sound like I'm unimpressed. Well, but I kind of am. Like at least from technology, it's cool to see that they can use it. It's cool to see how technology progresses, and that's going to be fun to see. But I was much more impressed with it when I saw it for the first time with the Revenant, and now I'm hoping that it'll look good to IMAX standards, especially true IMAX, not fake digital 2K projectors on a real IMAX screen that can't even take up the edge of the fucking screen. I can't wait till fucking 4K laser makes a full run out to every real
give
IMAX
it
screen
like
that needs to be in.
5 years.
No, I'm getting one here, so I think by this
Well,
summer
yeah, well,
I should have 4K laser.
We've said many times that the Austin, Texas area is not representative, just in as much as New York
I'm just
City
saying,
and Los
for me,
Angeles.
well, no, for me, fine. Like New York has it though. LA has it.
Well, that's what I'm
Seattle
saying.
has it.
LA, there are
Yeah.
certain cinephile areas of the country, and there's the country worldwide. China's struck a big deal with
Well, my
IMAX for
point
more
is, though, is
theaters
that,
this
like,
year.
the big IMAX screens are finally having them roll out, and so at least within 2 years, it should be there at every single major IMAX screen.
Maybe we'll see. I mean, IMAX is getting a big push. By the time I'm sure, by the time Infinity War comes out,
Yeah,
much in the same
definitely.
way when The Hateful Eight came out, how all those theaters got 70mm projectors from the Weinsteins. I'm sure a big deal with these theaters and their pacts with Disney is that they must have 4K projectors in time for that double feature.
And I'm sure there's
just
going to be an
because.
insane price hike at that point.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a $20 ticket for non 3D.
Oh no, higher
which,
than that, it's already like.
Well,
I
don't know.
how
I
they
think
do it, like.
$20 for a movie is pretty fucking steep.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know if
I
they're
think that's
differentiating
a
it
fair
between
price.
IMAX 3D and IMAX 2D now because we're getting back to having actual 2D screenings for movies that are also concurrently putting out in 3D. Like I know Batman v Superman had 2D showing specifically because the a lot of people
Well,
are not digging 3D anymore. But
I think it's less about them digging it and more about us being aware. I mean, you can go to websites. If you type in on Google real or fake 3D, you get taken to a website which is real or fake3d.com or something along those lines. And it breaks down per year what the real and fake movies are, what's post-converting, what's real. And usually it's all the stuff that's 3D animated is real for this year, Finding Dory, fucking The Secret Life of
yeah,
Pets,
it's all rendered
Zootopia.
in 3D. It's taken full.
Yeah,
3D
and then
designs.
you get one or two live action things like X-Men Apocalypse,
X-Men Apocalypse.
and
that's native.
the half-flying walk for what's his name, the Ang Lee's next movie. Okay, like you get one or two live action films every year. Ridley Scott, if he's making
whatever
one,
he
he's a
made, it's
surefire.
probably going to be native.
It's him exactly, and then you get fake shit and a lot of fake shit, and it's mostly
Like
superhero
Civil
stuff.
War, which,
So, yeah.
yeah.
Civil War. Which I'm sure still look good in 3D.
Oh, yeah,
because
no, it
it's
looks-
Disney, and they have Disney 3D, and they wouldn't want to shit on their own money. And I saw Star Wars in 3D, and it looked great. So yeah, I'm sure Civil War looked great too.
Well, I don't know if I'd say great. Definitely looked good.
It wasn't amazing,
No, I mean,
but I
it's just-
really
I
enjoyed
like
Terminator
the
Genesis
look
in
of
3D.
So I went solely for that. But I wouldn't say that it's something that you necessarily need to
There
see it
was
that way.
enough.
But they've
there was
definitely
enough
been pushing
moments.
3D screenings though. Like most places in my area, yeah, Disney probably has a stronghold on the theater owners because the 3D showings outnumber 2D.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. When I worked at AMC, it was the same way. Like people would actually be mad that we'd only have like 1 to 3, maybe 4 showings in 2D,
Yeah, you gotta make
and
it
yet
clear
like 12
that
in
they're
3D.
getting a 3D ticket too when you
Yeah.
confirm with them. Yeah, I know there's
Exactly.
a lot of people that really hate it.
Tons of
Hmm.
people. But fuck them. They can go to the movies on their own if they want. They can stay at home too. They can watch TV. And jumping from MCU back to DC, it's official. Last week we were talking about Supergirl maybe going to the CW. It's definitely happening. It was announced that CBS has kicked it off to CW, their stepchild, I guess you could call it. Production's going to shift also to Vancouver, where the rest of the Greg Berlanti DC shows shoot, and that's going to drop a lot of costs down. It was something like $2 to $3 billion, not billion, $1 million per episode for last season. It's going to be a lot less than that since they're not shooting LA now. But I'm really excited. Like I said last week, this means that Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Supergirl are all going to be on the same station. They share the same universe. There's going to be potential for more crossovers. It's going to be like Monday through Thursday. Those are your shows. Friday, here's something else, like I don't know, Jane the Virgin or whatever else is on CW. But I think this is awesome just because it seemed like it should have been on the station anyway, and now it totally makes sense that it is. It's not a surprise. It was one of those rumors that was like a sure thing. I'm just happy that the internet was right about it. I doubt I'll still watch the CW for Supergirl, but you never know. I do watch The Flash religiously. Kevin Smith's episode this past week was flat out amazing. Probably the
Yeah.
best episode this second season. If you haven't read it, he did a really great piece on Entertainment Weekly that you can read about how he got to do that. I shared it on my personal Facebook. Really great story. It kind of spoils the episode a little bit, but nothing that you can't handle if you don't care about the show. Just really exciting to see that someone that's so passionate about the property is able to, swallow his pride in what he does from a filmmaker standpoint to full-heartedly just do exactly what they want to do but be a cheerleader at the same time. Like, he seemed so in love about it. He was tweeting yesterday about him trying to do an arc on Arrow as well. I really hope he gets to, because Yoga Hosers, despite how much I want to see it, I know it's going to be bad,
Not
and
bad,
he might just be
different, probably.
probably bad actually. But I am excited to see his next step in TV outside of the
Hmm.
reality spectrum. Like, he was great on Flash. I like his Reaper pilot. I'm excited if he gets to do this Arrow show. Maybe he could just be a staple of the CW Arrowverse, and Berlanti just hires him for a lot of shit. That would be really, really cool, especially in terms of Green Arrow, because he did resurrect the character single-handedly in the early 2000s with Phil Hester, and it would be fun to see his take on the character that he helped recreate. So good luck to him.
Yeah, I read that once,
And
like, a long time ago, but it was really good.
what, Quiver?
Yeah, for Green Arrow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, that
Quiver
was
and
the
Sound
name
of
of it,
Violence are
yeah.
really great. He's trying to do Sound of Violence on the show, which is where he introduced Onomatopoeia, a villain that he created, also appears in Batman Cacophony. Really interesting character. Just the fact that he only speaks in onomatopoeic phrases. He'll say like boom or pop or fizz or
Mhm.
whatever, and that's all he says. And yet he's a mercenary, and because of that, he's really menacing and surprising. But anyway, talking about CW, you already knew this was going to happen, but NBC's workplace DC comedy Powerless and CW's Archie adaptation Riverdale have both gotten season orders. More DC comics are coming to TV. Really excited. Hopefully they cross over the DC expanded universe, because that, or extended universe rather. The movies could tap into them eventually. And
If they're still around.
but
I don't know. Who knows the restructuring that
if
DC's doing right
who,
now?
who does know? I mean, Rebirth is a month away, so I'm excited about to see what they do with that comic. But it's not all happy news. We do talk about things that I'm happy about on the show. But this one's pretty sad. Disney has sadly pulled the plug on ABC's The Muppets. It is not getting a renewal. It only lasted one season. We knew something was bad, and something bad was bound to happen when they replaced the showrunners mid-season. But yeah, my heart's kind of broken. I
Yeah,
don't know
I know
why
you
they
liked
did
it.
this.
I don't know how big the shift was. Like, I don't have a sense of how it was between I guess in mid-season how it went down. I just know from the
It
pilot that I
was
thought it was kind of like, it's not bad. It's just, yeah, it was off-putting for me though.
it got really weird after that change, just because like I like certain things about it. Like, they added more musical moments where like the Muppets were actually singing and performing
Hmm.
songs, and yet at the same time you also got like they added this character who was brought in to help revitalize the Muppet brands. And you're like, oh, this is so funny. The showrunners introduced a character to represent the new showrunners. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing. And he like had like a 3-episode arc that should have just not existed. Like they could have cut those 30 minutes out
It
altogether.
sounds like, I mean, that's kind of that's the nature of sitcoms, isn't it? To be kind of self-referential when stuff like that happens, or
A little bit, but like this
Community
guy's
is
name was
definitely known for doing that. Like it's
this guy's
whatever's
name.
currently happening in the behind the scenes, they always kind of make jokes about it.
His name was spelled pizza, but his name was like, what the fuck was it? It was like, I can't remember. It was so stupid. Like his whole arc was horrible. It seemed like one of the TV execs from that Muppets reboot movie got a whole arc on the show. Like imagine like Rashida Jones' character had it like a whole arc. That's what it was like. It was that bad and it was horrible. But yeah, I'm sad. Hopefully, they make a third movie and they can just reference it in a certain way. Like, oh, we had a TV show once upon a time. They all stare at the camera like, what happened? But this is more about Disney having bad news, and we'll get to that later. Here's the last items that we're keeping up to date, and then we're going to jump into the headlines. Amazon, they hired all the people from Top Gear before they left the BBC show. Their new motoring show is going to be called, that's drumroll kinda, The Grand Tour. It's going to travel the globe, and it's going to retain the studio audience segments nonetheless. It's albeit going to be intense instead of on a set, but I'm pretty excited about James May and all the rest of them. It's hard to say all their names really quick. If you haven't seen other shows, it's on Netflix, and it's funny because Netflix is getting the new show. This is going to be Amazon only. So, it's like, who is it? It's fucking Captain America, Joey from Friends, and like some other people, and they're on the new Top Gear.
I think we talked about that. Like that was a weird.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like,
think, but...
yeah, it's like we're not car people, we're actors.
I think it's just like Matt LeBlanc in the UK. That's what it is.
Maybe I mean, Episodes is a hit there more so than here. Maybe, perhaps, I don't know. I don't track these things. But yeah, headlines. The biggest thing that happened this week is kind of more of a tech news item, but we have to talk about it. It's kind of long-winded, so keep with us. You got something to gain from this, guys. Amazon is going after YouTube now. They've introduced something called Amazon Video Direct, which you can go to videodirect.amazon.com to access. Basically, this partners participating Amazon Video people with... Well, let me backtrack. This is, like I said, it's like a YouTube for Amazon. So instead of just Amazon Prime stuff, it's like studio things. Anyone that makes video content can put it on Amazon now.
And would they get paid for it if they had a certain view count?
Yeah, in a big way.
And,
This is a lot more enticing. So this is how it breaks down. So there's 4 distribution models. 1, they can make their content available to Prime Video subscribers and receive a per-hour royalty fee. 2, it can be sold as an add-on subscription through the Streaming Partners Program in the way that, Showtime and Chiller and all those things are accessible. 3, it can be offered for digital rental or purchase, just like Amazon Instant Video is. Mm-hmm. Or 4, it can be made available to all Amazon customers for free with ads, and creators will receive a 55% share of the ad revenue, which is the exact same numbers YouTube subscribers get. So this is a big deal. I mean, it was announced a while ago that Netflix actually does all of their servers on Amazon. Amazon has a very reliable, video servicing. But Amazon, on top of this, will also pay partners 50% of the rental price for digital purchases, rentals, and subscription fees. If they choose Prime Video subscription, creators will earn like 15 cents per hour. Like, there's so much stuff that you can read about this. Wow, it's really huge. But what's really enticing is they have this thing called the AVD Stars program. It's a bonus pool of $1 million per month to reward the top performing video creators and give them an incentive to add their content to Prime Video. The company will dole out a monthly bonus of $1 million fund based on the top 100 titles in Prime Video, on top of what they already get from partners, etc. And this is going to go in effect starting June 1st. So if you are on YouTube, if you have a channel, if you make content regardless of what it is, we're kind of exempt from this since our content on YouTube is just audio. Really go for Amazon. Put it on there. You'll get better money. You can choose the option. You can make it how people view your content, and you can get paid better. I doubt, strikes and copyright infringencies will be the same just because YouTube is really fucked up in that way.
Yeah,
it doesn't make
I mean,
sense.
Yeah,
Our
just
Star
that
Wars
whole
episode
thing. Yeah, no,
is only
it's not
accessible
just us,
in
but
Germany.
yeah, people that make a living off YouTube, they have it way worse in that they can get like a hold or Jesus, I should be more educated on this. I don't know what it is called exactly.
If you
but,
get
like,
you
they're
get strikes
getting,
for copyright
yeah.
infringencies. Basically,
And then the person
like
that
for what
calls
we
for the
do,
strike can put it on hold, and
Yeah.
they'll make the money themselves for all the reviews,
Exactly.
not for the person that created that actual
Yeah.
content. That's fucked up.
we, or I rather, do not put ads on YouTube. We have not monetized our content. And yet, copyright holders have monetized it themselves. So if you see any video for any of our content on YouTube, we're not getting paid. They're getting paid for their maybe 1 minute of split audio from some song that doesn't really give a shit about. It's bullshit. And it goes past that. Like, we got the good end of the stick, the long end. The people that get the short end, their videos just are not accessible. They get a strike. Their account gets written against. Basically, they get blacklisted. If you do that 3 times, they cancel your YouTube account. All your videos are no longer able to be viewed. You have to do appeals. It's a real fucked up process. I don't exactly understand how it works, but basically, Google, when they bought YouTube, said, we're going to make this legit. If you own any of the content for the stuff that they're putting, you have a way to get money for it. And it's really bullshit. And hopefully Amazon's not doing the same thing. It seems like they're trying to make it more user-oriented. They're trying to compete. So yeah, good luck to them. I'm a big supporter of them. I don't like monopolies. I don't think anyone does. So like I said, go to videodirect.amazon.com, submit to them, get on there. A lot of people already have. I'm sure, like Machinima, and I know how stuff works, and a couple other people were like the first to join in. So it's gonna be pretty big soon. It'd be pretty cool. I mean, I haven't checked it myself yet, but if I'm on Amazon Prime Video, for instance, on my PlayStation, if I can watch YouTube content instead of having to jump to the YouTube app, which is the idea here, like the fact that Amazon Video is able to be viewed on so many devices that it's going to be all-in-one in the way that Amazon is all-in-one. And it's pretty smart, and it makes sense, and it's kind of a mystery that it took this long, to be honest, for them to get this off the ground.
No, I don't know. I didn't expect them to get this going, but for creators specifically, I think that's a great thing. Just hopefully, and it probably will pick up. I mean,
I'm sure it will very soon.
This failing at all, unless it's
No,
not
it won't.
user friendly in any way.
I don't know. I mean, to be honest, Amazon Video's user interface isn't nearly as clean as YouTube.
Well, I mean,
even
yeah,
on a
and
PlayStation.
especially for Instant, it's not as nice as Netflix, but
it's not as nice,
Yeah.
but it works. Like, the video is good quality. It never hiccups or anything. Like, I've never had a drop
oh
signal.
yeah,
Like,
but
it's
I
fine.
mean, just trying to find the material though, like differentiating the content from Prime to whatever's on Instant. It's not so great at that, and I think
It's
their
not great. You
categories,
get
they've
that-
got like 3
that
things,
little,
editors picks, top IMDb.
Yeah.
It's not.
You get
very
that little-
well, very well spaced.
You get like
out.
a dog gear on the top of the content. It's like, it says Prime. Oh, I can see that. And then you get the other one that says HD. Like, it
Yeah.
isn't. They're gonna change it eventually when they, who knows how long. But talking about Amazon, outside of just video stuff, they're doing something big. It's reported, or at least the Wall Street Journal has sources, that Amazon's going to start selling its own food and household brands as Prime members. The brands here are going to be Happy Belly for, cooking oil or butter or whatever, Wickley Prime for snacks, Presto for cleaning supplies, and Mama Bear for baby-oriented items. It's rumored that this is going to be coming into play in the next couple of weeks, so it could be
Okay,
as soon as mid-June.
That might be a bit too far now. Like they're becoming
I don't
the
know.
next
It
Buy
makes
and Large,
sense.
man. That's kind of scary.
No, it is. Like, it. Look, okay, look. They already had Prime Now and Prime Fresh. Prime Fresh, you can get your groceries delivered to you. Prime Now, you can get anything delivered to you within 2 to 1 hour. You have same-day shipping. Prime members get 2 days shipping. They got the video, the music, the Kindle library. You got so many things at your disposal. They already do Prime Basics electronic items.
I mean, that's the thing.
You got
anytime
the Kindle Fire, the Fire Phone.
Anytime any company, if they have nothing to do with the food industry at all, once they start putting out their own stuff, like their own sandwiches or whatever, that's just a sign where it's always like, you know what?
You've
they're
talked on the show.
Way too powerful now.
Well, maybe not on the show, but you've talked to me about 7-Eleven and their sandwiches and their pizzas and all their shit. Once upon a time, they didn't have that. They just had the people, people made stuff, they bought it, they sold it. They got a fraction of 7-Eleven, the cost.
Like at least around me, it's pretty much as common as Subway and Starbucks. Like there's one every 3 blocks. Like
the idea here
all around
is Amazon. Amazon knows exactly what people buy and how often they buy it and what those trends are and what they're interested in and why and what flavors are going to take off and how often your baby shits the bed and all these things. And with that ability, with that metadata, they are able to process and kind of just facilitate trends and like, oh, maybe we introduce a new flavor. Maybe the baby food is too strong. Maybe like all these things. And that's the idea here, that since you already go to Amazon so much, because like I said, this is for Prime members. This isn't for everyone. If you support their brand so much, like I have a pair of HDMI cables from them. I'm sure most people do, or USB or a phone charger or some shit, a case. You got something. If you are a Prime member, you got something that they made, okay? That, yeah, I'm interested if they make their own Cheetos. I'd like to try them out. Why not? Like, I'm sure they're going to be cheaper than real Cheetos. I'm sure they're going to taste just the same, and they'll be delivered to my house within 2 hours. Why not go for it? And that's what they're gambling with. That's what they're trying. And if this takes off, then yeah, maybe they imagine a drone-delivered pizza to you. Like, that's a possibility in the next couple of years. Like, Amazon is trying to make a marketplace where you never have to leave the house, which is really smart, and that's how they've always worked. Because it kind of doesn't make sense when it takes a week, but when you get it within a couple hours, it's ingenious. The fact that, oh shit, I just ran out of shampoo. I could get in my car and put my clothes back on and drive to the store and grab the shampoo and come back and then have to take a shower and do it. Or I could have a truck deliver it to me and I'll just take a shower tomorrow. I'll be grimy for a couple hours. I'll watch Amazon Instant Video for, a couple of movies and I'll be fine. I'll fall asleep. Like, it makes sense. Like, we are becoming lazier. Millennials are used to instant gratification. We want things as soon as it's possible. And I find myself on Amazon window shopping more than I ever actually window shop in real life.
I'm the exact opposite right now, like, of you. Yeah, it's funny. I find myself just getting more and more disconnected online, kind of on purpose. I mean, especially, like, for streaming, like, my habits. I don't really watch stuff on the internet anymore, even though, like, I used to have Netflix streaming and I still have Amazon Prime, but yeah, either I'm out at the theater or I'm just watching stuff on DVD. Like, I don't know, maybe it's a rebellion phase or something compared to other millennials, but yeah, I do whatever I can now to get myself out, so I
try to get out too.
I might experiment with this once, but, then again, I'm surrounded by a bunch of great local spots that have food, and I mean, I'm in a town that's really that minimizes or tries to minimize the corporations that are present, and I mean, there's
imagine
a bunch of great local stuff around me. So yeah, I
imagine you're in suburban Nebraska, okay, and your closest convenience store is an hour away. And you really want some Starbursts.
For some people, like,
definitely. Yeah, and it's like, well, I could go drive and get real Starbursts, or I could get the Amazon knockoff version, and they taste just as good. And that's the idea here.
I'm just saying, like, for me,
you're not going to be a customer.
I will. I'll probably experiment with it, but I doubt it'll be something that I'll stick with in the long run.
I think I'll be curious enough. I think if they're able, for instance, to make their own beer or their own alcohol. If they do that, then it's going to be a huge fucking thing. Like, if you could get vodka delivered to your house and not have to call the liquor store and, like, do a whole, like, to-do about it.
If they can
if you could just be on your app.
Like, branding their own, that's where I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Like, if you're on the app and you go, I really want some vodka and a pizza and this and that and all of these things. It's gonna happen eventually, I would assume. It's like, and yeah, sure, let me get a DVD and a book too, just in case I get bored. Like, that's the next step. Like, forget VR. Like, everything possible delivered to your home. Because you can buy wine online.
Yeah.
Like, not through Amazon directly, but it probably
There are
you probably
places,
can.
like, there are ways to order it.
Yeah.
It might be
Like,
more
you can
expensive
do.
to ship it though, depending on what
Well, no,
territory you
yeah,
are. But
through Amazon actually, because they own Loot now, and Loot has a wine website. So yeah, Amazon will sell you wine, which is pretty funny. But moving on, outside of Amazon, outside of tech, something big that happened at Con this week: the Women in Film Advocacy Group, We Do It Together, is financing Together Now, a collection of 7 short films directed by and starring women. There's some big names attached: Robin Wright, Catherine Hardwicke, Katia Lunn, who co-directed City of God, and then also Juliette Binoche, Frida Pinto, some others. The director behind Beyonce's Formation video, for instance. They're going to be, like I said, they're going to be directing 7 short films, all female-centered. It's going to tell a story, and it's going to surmount... Censored.
Yeah,
and it's going
I
to
don't know if
amount
it's Skype, but it
to...
sounded like censored.
It might have been Skype, but it's going to amount to a feature-length film. And the idea here and behind the advocacy group is that they're trying to get women's voices out there. They're trying to get, in particular in Hollywood and just in filmmaking in general, that the female just vision and voice and the way they articulate certain things are at the forefront. And that's the idea behind this film. I'll probably check it out, especially if it's on Netflix or Amazon. It sounds interesting enough. But I guess it's a win. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of weird. Especially, I read this on THR, and they said Catherine Hardwicke, who directed the first Twilight film. Like,
Yeah,
out of all of her films,
no, they'll mention that.
that's the one they
That's her
picked. Why
biggest
not
moneymaker.
13?
Of course they're going to pick that one.
Why not
I
the
have not
Spiderwick
seen 13.
Chronicles?
The what?
Spiderwick Chronicles.
That's
Didn't
not
you do
her.
that?
No.
No, who's that?
The dude that did Mean Girls did that.
Okay, well,
And
whatever.
Girls Who Wear Friends Fast.
When I think of her, I think of 13.
Yeah, I think of Lords of Dogtown. That was the one I first saw.
Yeah, that one too.
Yeah.
Like both of those. Like, those are great films. But yeah, they said the
Well,
one
no,
the
they're
lady
gonna
who
mention
directed the first Twilight.
They will. I mean, that's the most successful
She's in-
one. And
well-
yeah, that
She didn't set the tone for that franchise. Anyone could direct it. I wouldn't really say her directing sensibilities were brought into the forefront with that movie.
no, but definitely was more of an independent spirit vibe to that movie, to that first one.
That's because at the time it was a Summit movie, and Summit
Yeah.
wasn't owned by Lionsgate.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it wasn't as big. Or, like, they tried to make them more epic as it went on. You could tell,
Well, the story gets more epic. That's just part of the franchise. Like that's the books more than
yeah,
the
but I mean,
movies.
it's
The
also
movies related
and
to
it,
that.
also, it just felt a lot cheaper. Like, some effects are down to like a Sci-Fi Channel level. It does feel like I mean, I don't revisit that one. I've only saw it once, and that was back when it came out.
Oh.
But yeah,
I'm sure I'll rewatch that first Twilight movie. It was a fun watch. I enjoyed it.
if there's a Master Pancake one, then yeah, I'll see that.
Just for fun, just for funsies. But we're talking about women. This is kind of sad. It's not exactly a headline. I guess it's more of like Also Ran, which is the final segment on the show. But a French woman live streamed her suicide this week on Tuesday. She jumped in front of a train to do it. I haven't seen the video. I won't. I know there's like an archive of it on YouTube. But basically, she was like talking to people, and if you don't know how Periscope works, it's kind of like you're FaceTiming to the internet, and they can like it and respond, and you can respond to them. It's live streaming, and they didn't take her for seriously, and so she jumped from the train. And why this is troubling isn't necessarily because of her suicide, but because it's the latest in a trend of stream unpleasantries, including domestic abuse that happened on Twitch not too recently, and also a rape on Periscope. Is this our future? Like, when we have this tech at our fingertips, when we're able to be on the internet anytime, that instead of having these serial killers that take the world by storm, instead we just have random Joes doing crazy shit, and we just
And we're just burnt
remember
out
how
by it
shitty.
now.
Well, not just
Like,
burnout, but like how
I think
shitty of a civilization we live
this
in.
is the thing that I just, with every single bombing or every type of any form of domestic violence or international that gets brought up, like the thing that always has been coming to mind, not always, but just lately, is that have you seen Brazil?
Yeah,
Okay, well, it's basically that one scene where they're in that restaurant and there's a bombing in the restaurant and the people that are still there eating dinner, they're
they
just
just
carrying
keep
on like
eating.
everything
Yeah,
is normal and the waiters are just quickly cleaning everything up like nothing happened. And that's just that's all I think of like that's basically what it is every time that that happens is that we kind of just forget about it and move on. Now this is just fucking worse than that. Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Like, oh, why
it's
did you
pretty
bring this
sad.
up? Like that's
It's just
horrible, man.
it's an important news item
Uh,
just because like
yeah.
people are taking it into their own hands
At
with
the
this
same
girl in
time, it is
particular.
not shocking though. I mean, any technical or technological progression that we'll have, someone's going to use it for something totally
It
fucking
makes sense.
awful.
I mean, given
Yeah.
the how ubiquitous something like Periscope is, that someone eventually would decide to commit suicide while, streaming from it. Like
Hmm.
it's not a surprise to me. It's just the fact of how she did it by jumping in front of a train with what I read about the story in terms of the police like taking the phone and
Yeah.
having to turn it off and stop
I
the
mean, and
stream
it's not like
and all this stuff.
Periscope is to blame for this or anything, or of its
No, no,
existence.
no.
It's just people
Yeah, no,
doing
it's taking
yeah,
advantage of the means at hand, and
things that
it just
happen in life that we hear
it's
about that are
real
horrible, and it's just
sad.
putting it up there like now for people to see it. That's way more fucked up.
I, like I said, it's a trend. Like there's been a lot of this stuff
Yeah,
lately. I was reading up on
Jesus.
the Periscope rape. Like it was like a girl who was 18 with her friend who was 17, and this guy was like 30. Statutory raped the girl who was 17, and both the older girl and the guy are on counts of like rape and all kinds of shit. You can read about this all over the internet. I think I read it on The Verge. Um, it's kind of sad where we're going. Like we have the more we progress or evolve technologically, it's like the less we become from a humanistic standpoint. We become more carnal, more shitty.
Well, it's just I think it's a matter of having to keep things in perspective at the same time. Like I do think that's why I'm not necessarily anti. It's just any time that you bring up something more technological that you seem more happy about, I'm always cautious now, and I try not to be cynical, but it's always just I try to proceed with caution at least, and I like to know more about the reasons of why I'm doing something or why I'm interested in trying something technologically speaking. Or I mean, it's like with phones, for example, there's so many phones with awesome capabilities, but I see some of this stuff and it's like, I don't need this in my life and there's no reason for me to get it just so I can get used to it and then get numb to it. And like, I mean, so I don't know. I don't use Periscope, so maybe it's a good thing that I'm not on there, but
It's meant for
yeah,
celebrities. Like if
it's
you have a large Twitter following
yeah.
or you are a legitimate celebrity, it's just a little fun slice of life. Look at what I'm doing right now. Check it out. You'll never watch it. Like whereas Snapchat, if it's a my story, you can view it later. Periscope is only right now, right now.
Well, I
Just
mean,
in the same way
regardless
as,
of
Twitch is.
yeah, regardless of the tech, I just the most important thing that you can do is just try to keep things in perspective. And I mean, because if I see this stuff every day, then I know it'll just numb me out and it'll break me somehow,
Yeah,
just personally. So
I just hope that this isn't something that continues. I'm
it,
sure it will.
yeah.
Just by the nature of humanity, people commit suicide, people do
Hmm.
bad things, and the more tech you have available to you, the more ways you have to broadcast yourself. And I'm sure it's just going to continue, but all of these things have been happening recently. I wouldn't doubt if a film or a TV show, maybe CSI Cyber, NCIS, something like that, does an episode on it. They probably already have, mind you. But it was really interesting to me, and I did read up on it a good amount just because of the nature, not necessarily of the acts, but that they were not smart enough, but not wise either, but just the fact that they took advantage of what was at their disposal to do these sad acts. Like their their final days were documented. Like
Hmm.
I'm talking about them, people were talking about them. Like they were important or more so than they could have been. Like a suicide note is passe now.
Oh, I mean, Jesus, like the worst thing. It's just I don't know why. Just now I started thinking about the Elliot Rodgers shooting in Santa Barbara like 2 years ago. Fuck, if that was Periscope, that'd be fucking scarier than it
He
already
could have,
is.
yeah,
Like,
he could have easily been holding a smartphone up
yeah,
while doing it and
he would do
recording the
his like
thing and
stupid
putting it on the
little
internet.
thing, and then that ends up on YouTube. Oh man, that's
Like we're probably not too far away from a mass shooting being live streamed.
man.
Like these stories that I've been talking about right now, it's probably the precipice for bad shit happening on a large scale. Like it's pretty scary when someone bombs, like the Boston, uh, what you call it, fucking
Yeah, the
marathon,
marathon
or
bombing.
someone crashes into, the Twin Towers. But imagine someone on that plane had a phone and they're showing you with them with hostages at gunpoint. Like that takes it to another level, and it's probably going to get there very soon. Like the way things escalate and the way technology advances, um,
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting, and I'm sure it's probably going to happen soon. Something bad's going to happen soon, in this way, and then they'll make a movie about it because that's what they do, and it will be a disaster film, but not in the way that they are, and not a blockbuster. But talking about blockbusters and Warner Brothers and their giant flicks, they've done more calendar moves, which is something they've done all year, and seems like that's something they always do. But this time, it's in terms of their big lizard, Godzilla 2. It's been pushed 9 months back to March 22nd, 2019, and his throwdown with King Kong is coming March 29th, 2020. That move is important in terms of Godzilla 2 because before that, The King of the Monsters was set to go toe to toe with Transformers 5, and now it has its own weekend. What's more interesting here and more shocking than the calendar date is that Gareth Edwards has left Godzilla 2 one day after they announced his counter move.
Mm.
He has, quote unquote, done amicable split, which is exactly what Hollywood always says in these cases. And basically, he doesn't want to do back to back blockbusters. He did Godzilla, he's doing Rogue One right now.
So he wants
He
to do
probably.
something smaller.
Exactly. He doesn't want to do
Okay, that's
Godzilla 2
good.
right away.
I mean, I
That
respect
is
that. I'm not a
good.
fan of his stuff, but I respect that.
I respect that too. I just don't buy it. We're both in agreement here that first Godzilla was not a great movie. I don't think he has the ability to make an actual Godzilla movie, so I'm pretty happy that he's left the franchise. Because that was not Godzilla at all. That was the monster in the deep ocean that we don't know anything about. That's what that movie was, with 5 minutes of fighting.
I don't care to remember that movie. Just
Exactly.
yeah.
So someone is going to come in and someone's going to do a good job, and I hope it's an actual Godzilla movie, not like that first reboot, not like the 1998 Matthew Broderick movie, but an actual Godzilla film where the Godzilla is fighting monsters and you're cheering for him and you're happy, not dark and morose and hey look it's the guy from Kick-Ass falling out of the sky with Elizabeth Olsen. Hey look, they're brother and sister in a Marvel movie. No one gives a shit.
And
Like
Jose
not
White,
that.
they have a kid too. That's so messed up.
That's so
Yeah.
weird. So weird. Who would cast them as brother and sister? That's just fucked up, Marvel.
Especially when they knew
But yeah,
that the other one existed.
Good luck to Warner Brothers. They haven't announced a new director. I'm sure they have to soon. Like I said, this next one's coming out 2019. That's only 2 years away. For a movie of this size, they have to go into pre-production like right now. So yeah, we'll keep you posted when that comes around. Blockbusters. We talked about earlier about Civil War, Alexa 65, all that shit. The Russo brothers. This could have been keeping tabs, but it's a little bit more than that, so it wasn't. But they have Anthem song over in China. They just announced their first project. They're looking to start a Chinese superhero franchise. This film is going to be called A Hero's Beginning. It's the first in a planned trilogy. It's going to be co-directed by a proven Chinese director and the concept artist behind Jungle Book and Kong Skull Island. Sounds just like a Chinese superhero.
Pretty much.
You know,
Well,
gets his powers, does his shit.
we don't- we
I
don't
read
know
the
what
stuff,
that
I didn't write it
means,
down.
But, I mean, because I haven't seen
It's-
anything. But yeah, it's
An-
we know that
Anthem
this is
and-
stuff that's meant to be aimed
Yeah.
at them.
Like, Anthem, the song was made so the Russo brothers can capitalize on the money that China is getting at the box office. This is them going, we know how to make superhero movies, let's do that, but in Chinese. That's what it is. That's 100% what it
Yeah.
is. And I mean, Civil War is about to cross $1 billion internationally, so they know what they're doing. I'm sure this is going to be hit there. I would like to see this actually come stateside. I'd like to see what this movie is like. They're only producing the thing. It's their production company. But I'm curious nonetheless, just because. Just in the same way, it was announced that HBO Asia and the Chinese movie channel have collaborated to making made-for-TV movies. It's a pretty big deal. Chinese movie channel is people that, like, you know, co-produce Terminator Genesis and Terminator 4. All those movies in Hollywood that has Chinese people playing a role and producing, it's them. They're the channel that, you know, coordinates the Oscars for China and all that shit. So this is just a continuation of China being a big thing and Hollywood trying to tap into whatever they're doing, because they're prone to be the biggest, you know, media market in the coming years. There's like 1.2 billion Chinese TV watchers. Who knows how many of them go to the theaters? Let's just say like 700 million. That's almost 2 to 3 times the size of the entire American population, and they like going to go to the movies. So I just hope more of their stuff comes here, not just the huge
It'll
ones.
be accessible to us, at least on Netflix or something like that.
Perhaps that's what I'm saying. I just hope it does, because think about like
I think
Bollywood.
so. Like maybe not right away, but eventually it will.
At some point, because like Bollywood movies, they're a huge hit in India.
Yeah, and some
We
of them
have,
do
like-
make their way here theatrically.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. The huge ones, though, you know, it's like Doom 3. It's not XYZ, like the random ones in between. It's just the blockbusters. It's like it did so well there, it's gonna do well here, and it's the same way, vice versa. You know, only our blockbusters go internationally.
much.
It's not the independent small things. Like Green Room isn't gonna be in China.
No.
For outside of censor reasons, it wouldn't go to China.
It's not going to be one of the 20 movies. It will
Exactly.
be amazing if it did, but no, that
Would be
not
pretty
happen.
cool. Would be pretty cool. It's not going to happen, and I would like to see their small stuff, and especially their big stuff, come here too. Like you said, maybe on Netflix or something along those lines. But going back to TV, we were talking about the CW earlier. You know, Riverdale and Supergirl going there. This one's kind of really cool. So Wentworth Miller, who's best known for being on Prison Break, which is currently shooting its reboot series over at Fox, he's exited as a regular on DC's Legend of Tomorrow show, and now he has a contract for arcs across the entire Berlanti Arrowverse. So he's going to be appearing on Arrow and Flash and Legends of Tomorrow and maybe even Supergirl. And this is really the first contract of its kind. He's not tied to a singular entity. He's just a recurring character across a series of shows, which is really cool. Like, I think this is going to be the future of TV contracts. It makes sense, especially for something like Shondaland, maybe if Empire gets a spin-off, something along those lines. If you have a really great guest star, why time to one show, especially if it's a tied universe, which is a huge thing.
Yeah, that's
MCU
the
has
main
their
thing you gotta
shows,
cater
DC
to.
has their shows. Because he was previously only on the Flash, then he got Legends of Tomorrow, and he kind of carried the show. He's the draw, he's the one with the charisma. And I'm really excited that he's coming back to the Flash. Like, he's going to be on Arrow, he's going to be on all these shows. Like, who's next? Maybe, I don't know. Like, someone else is going to be down the pipeline, someone's going to get something similar along these lines. I could see HBO doing something like this, especially if they're smart enough to, you know, do not Warner Brothers, but DC properties on HBO. I really don't know, but this could be the first of many. This could be the first case. This could be the first time, and you know, where you go just like the MCU did it, where, well, why isn't everyone doing a shared universe? It's like, well, why isn't everyone having guest stars on a contract to appear on all the shows in that run?
Yeah.
As you think about something like Happy Days, and then Joni Loves Chachi, and then, Yeah, Laverne and Shirley, and I think there was like one other spinoff in there. They didn't really have cross pollination. Like it was just these characters on this show. They did their one thing. This could be the next step in that evolution and making TV something bigger. Because people love TV more than they love movies. Netflix binge watching is proof of that. It's really taken over our universe. It is like the go-to way to ingest media now. And having this person, this singular entity or entities, it could be multiples showing up across many of them. It could be special.
I could see that. I mean, I'm definitely outside of it, but I could see people connecting with that. The fact that it bridges across all the other shows that you're watching and just makes it feel more connected. Like I think I mean I could see the appeal. It really is the same thing with the way that the MCU has been doing it. Like like Nick Fury is sort of in that. Agent Coulson was that. Or at least in the beginning, they were that bridge into everything else when they were putting the pieces together before they all collided into everything. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, they already kind of do this on the CW. Like, side characters on The Flash will show up on Arrow or vice versa, but it's not a big thing. It's not a character you care about necessarily. It's just like, oh yeah, they're in the same universe, they do their own things, like they can help out one line. But this is not a villain of the week. This is someone past that threshold. This is an important character, someone that fans care about. Like Wentworth Miller playing Captain Cold, Edward Snart, like he's really, really great. Like he's probably one of the best things about that first season of The Flash. And I'm just excited that he's going to be a bigger part in that. And like I said, this could be not just an archetype, but it could break ground for what's possible in TV. But our final headline here before jumping to con news is Disney. We talked about them earlier. They don't know exactly what's going down, what's going on with the Muppets. They canceled a lot of shit. So, not just TV, something else they also did, which was pretty major this week, and it's more video games than movies. But they pulled the plug on their video game development altogether, which most notably included their Disney Infinity Choice of Life line, which is kind of a juggernaut. It's been around for 3 years now. Never heard of it. I think I've talked about it on the show before. Basically, it's like a toy box where you take a toy figure of any of their properties. It's Marvel, Star Wars, Pixar, Disney Animation, live action, all of their movies. Anytime a movie comes out, they got a new toy. Jungle Book, doesn't matter. Like, everything. Okay? And you put it in this game, and that way the kids not only have a toy to buy, but they also have a game they can play it in, and all this shit. And, as far as I know, I've never sold any personally, it's a big hit. Everyone loves it. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, they closed down that studio in Utah. They have only 2 more sets coming out for Alice Through the Looking Glass and Finding Dory. But they just decided during this quarter 2 earnings call, video games, that is not our forte. We have not made money doing that. I think they took like $147 million charge this month, something like that. And so they're going to allow other publishers handle all their properties. EA has already done this with Star Wars Battlefront last year. Respawn, which is also part of EA, is doing another game. And it looks like they're just going to leave the entire interactive industry altogether. My guess is that this is perhaps them betting on VR and AR instead. We already know about ILM Labs and what they're doing there. But it's kind of sad because it's like Apple kind of toted their new Apple TV at their last press conference as going, ooh, look at us, it has Disney Infinity support. And it's like, well, joke's on you because that doesn't exist anymore. It's really weird to me because I know, like, I've seen it on the internet. It is a big hit, not just with kids, but also Disney aficionados. I guess they just weren't making as much money as they wanted to. It's probably just not just the press, but Wall Street and stock numbers and all that shit that no one cares about. It's probably just
something that they don't need either, and they could spend it. They probably want to spend that money on things that they can make a bigger profit on. That's more in line with everything else that they got. I don't know how much profit they make on it, but I know I sure as shit don't think of gaming when I think of Disney.
Disney's been doing gaming for a long time.
Oh yeah, no. I know it's out there, but
I'm just saying, like they canceled when they bought Lucasfilm. One of the very first things they did was cancel LucasArts, which was a video game pioneer. They helped invent the point-and-click adventure game. Mm-hmm. they obviously made all the Lucasfilm like video game tie-ins for Star Wars and Indiana Jones and all that stuff. But they're pretty. They had notoriety in the video game industry, and they went, nope, that's gone. Now this is gone. Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out sometime in the next 2 years. That's probably going to be the final Disney Interactive property. Like I said, they're just going to license their likenesses and everything else to everyone else, just so they don't have to spend all the dollar on it. Because Bob Iger seemed like he was getting really angry. Like, people were going, oh, you're closing the video games, and you're canceling these TV shows, and you're doing this, and you're not picking up you're not picking up Castle or Agent Carter or,
it's
Marvel's
just
Most
not their
Wanted.
business. I mean,
It is their business, though. Disney isn't just one thing. They're not just movies. They're not just cartoons. They're not just theme parks. They're not just fucking food. Like, they make everything. They have stores and malls. They have credit cards. They have backpacks. They have apparel items. Mm-hmm. Like, they are everything. They've always been everything. And this is kind of weird to me, the fact that they would shut out a huge market, which is still booming. I mean, we've talked about on the show that video game adaptations are getting bigger than they ever have. I saw the Assassin's Creed trailer. I was a big fan of it, probably just because I Am a God by Kanye West is on it. I love Yeezus, so I love that trailer.
I didn't even know the trailer was out.
Yeah, it came out 2-3 days ago. It looks pretty good. It looks like Assassin's Creed. Like, I want to see it. Like, I always already kind of wanted to see it. I was curious about Michael Fassbender in a video game adaptation, especially one that he produced. But watching the trailer, I went, yeah, no, this is exactly a Assassin's Creed movie.
Hopefully
Like,
it's
this
not as dour and dull as Macbeth, but
no, I doubt it. I mean, check it out. The trailer looks pretty cool. But yeah, Disney's just confused. Just a sign of their confusion here. This week, on the same day, Thursday, they started a weekly news roundup show for not just Marvel, but also Lucasfilm on YouTube. On the same day.
And?
It's just weird. Like, they do a 2 cents for Marvel, they do a 2 cents for Lucasfilm, and they're both announced. Lucasfilm's was announced weeks prior. The Marvel one was just a surprise. Hey, guess what, guys? We got a YouTube show. It's called, like, Fwhip or something. I don't know.
I'm not seeing the issue here.
I'm just saying, like, Disney's, it seems like they're scatterbrained. They don't know what they want. They don't know what their shareholders want. They're just trying to make money, and they don't know exactly how. They have Disneyland. I saw the video that Slashfilm posted about Shanghai Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean, and everyone there is like, oh my god, it's the best thing ever. They know how to do theme parks. They know how to do Marvel. I guess you could say they know how to do Star Wars. But the problem here with the stock market wasn't that, like I said, Bob Iger was mad. He kind of got upset that they were taking issue with everything but the movies. And he had to go, don't you know that we've been breaking ground for the last 2 years in terms of what's possible at the box office? And they don't care. And so maybe that's just what they're going to be, like you said, like what you're kind of indicating. Like, maybe they are going to be just the movie company now. Like, they're just going to cut ties from everything.
That is kind of what they talk about. I mean, I honestly do not think of, aside from Kingdom of Hearts, like, I can't think of any.
Kingdom of Hearts?
Yeah, an of slipped in there. Not on purpose. Just.
Okay.
It just slipped out. We record late at night. My brain's not fully active. No, it's not. Gaming is just not something that I think of, and it's every time like they got a game out that's based on a movie, they tend to be pretty cheap. That tends to be it for everybody else too. But I mean, what else do they have? Is it
that doesn't really
don't
exist
think
anymore?
Really,
well, I'm saying they have TV. Like, ESPN's been in the shitter for a while now. They've been losing a lot of talent. They've been coming under fire. That's not worth the money it used to be worth. And it's not just ESPN. They have Lifeform, previously known as ABC Family. They have ABC, obviously. They have a lot of
TV
they got
programming. A bunch of new stuff that they want to develop, but yeah, they probably just have to phase out the stuff that they don't see that there's much of a future in.
Well, it's not what they don't see, like I said. It's what Wall Street doesn't see. It's what their shareholders don't agree with, what their board doesn't understand. Like, on all counts, if Disney, as far as I'm concerned, if they make something, it's a winner. Like, they wouldn't make it, they wouldn't put the name on it if it wasn't going to be successful. Like, they're smarter than that. And to see them so much this week, like I kind of skimmed over it, they canceled Agent Carter. They passed on their Marvel's Most Wanted. I already talked about Powerless on an NBC DC show, the workplace comedy about people that don't have powers. Marvel had another pilot just like that. They said no. So they they just canceled basically 2 Marvel shows.
And what was the reason for Agent Carter? Was ratings or?
I don't know. No one knows.
I mean,
no one knows why
honestly, like,
shows get canceled. They canceled
I can't say
Castle,
I'm
which has been on air for
surprised.
like 8 seasons.
Yeah, well, I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, like, there's so many shows of this type that are out that it's not like all of them can get made at this point. You know, I can totally. It's sort of like what the Lucas Spielberg thing was, what, 3 years ago, where. I mean, yeah, that was related to movies that the industry would implode on itself. But yeah, there is just so much of this shit out there that, I mean, yeah, some of it's just gonna have to go.
Maybe
Yeah,
you'll all have to go. It's just gonna be Disneyland parks, and that's it. You can only watch the movies while at Disneyland. Ride the
that would be
ride, watch the movie at the
that'd be
same time.
stupid. Why would you do that?
They could do it,
Yeah.
and their cult would probably do it anyway. But moving to regular headlines, the cons or cans, however you pronounce it. There's no
Can.
real way. A
Festival
couple
du
big.
Cannes. There, that's how you say it in French. That's what it is.
Anyone can say it how they want. Like I said, there's
Fuck
a
you.
good number
Respect
of
the
new.
language.
It's not a language.
Hey, respect the language while I'm in the room, sir.
You're not in the room. You're not even in my state.
The
You're not
digital
even in my
room.
time zone.
No.
There's a couple of
Jeez,
big
it's
news
an
items that
expression, man.
happen
Come on.
this week. The first of which is Amazon once again, because we can never not talk about them. They've continued their flirtations with auteurs. This time, it's Mike Leigh. They're footing the bill for his next movie, Peterloo. It's still being penned, but it's like anticipated to be $20 to $30 million movies. Pretty big. It's about the 1819 massacre by the British government forces at a peaceful pro-democracy rally. So they got Mike Leigh. They got who else? They got Woody Allen. They got Wyndon Refn. Who else? Like, it's a laundry list of who's in cinema are
Yeah.
going to Amazon, and it's not gonna stop. Like Netflix, they got a couple of movies here and there, but they just buy things. Amazon is producing. Spike Lee, obviously. They're trying to be a legitimate movie studio. They have their script submission service. They have these real directors with visions. It's kind of scary when I think about it. Like, they have more promise in the coming years than MGM does. All they have is fucking James Bond
Yeah, pretty much.
and War Games, I guess. Like, that's it. That's it. Like, MGM has nothing else.
I don't know.
That
unless
is the
musical
limit.
makes a comeback, then maybe.
Maybe,
Like,
but
there's a bunch of stuff there on catalog.
plus, who knows where MGM's even going to go with James Bond? Like, Sony's out. They're probably not going to redo it. They've lost enough money as it is with those James Bond movies. It's probably going to be Disney. Can you imagine Disney produce James Bond movies?
No
It's
way
pr-
can that happen.
It's probably going to happen, to be honest.
No,
Because
no.
Warner Brothers wouldn't want to do it. So we're going to find out in the next couple of months who's going to take over the franchise, who's going to co-distribute and produce with them. Broccoli's going to announce this shit.
Jesus.
It's going to be soon. Trust me. It's going to, they have to go in. They're already probably in pre-production. They have to start production somewhat soon. Who knows who the new James Bond's going to be, but they have to continue the franchise. And it's probably going to be before the end of the year that we find out who they go with.
Just not Disney.
It's probably going to be Disney.
What about DreamWorks?
They're going to have Star Wars. That's not possible.
Why not?
Because DreamWorks just signed with Universal, so that means Universal would own James Bond. I don't think they're on the table for that kind of deal.
No, you don't think that could happen, like, at all?
I
As
don't
far
see
as
it.
seeing a logo, I could see Universal.
I think it would be more likely Sony coming back, Disney doing it.
I could see
MGM
a
finding
Universal
some,
logo, then molding into the shape of the gun
Just
barrel,
like-
and then there you have it go.
Probably just China buying MGM and just footing the whole bill for James Bond, probably.
Was
to be
Skyfall
honest.
distributed in China?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Yeah,
I know
it's
they
James
shot
Bond.
it there, but
James Bond. Like, it's one of those surefire international blockbusters. Like, it's released everywhere. Die Another Day and not Skyfall, but the one before that.
Die
No,
Another
yeah,
Day was
Skyfall.
North Korea.
Was that North Korea?
That was they shot. No, they
South
didn't
Korea?
shoot that there. The setting was North
But
Korea.
it was what it was supposed to be.
It wasn't.
Yeah,
It
like,
wasn't in
they,
China.
what I'm trying to say is, like, in the recent past,
Mm-hmm.
they've done Asian territories as settings. I mean, you could even go back to, like, you only Never Say Never again, or
The fake
like,
one, yeah.
yeah, like like that one. I think is China too. Like,
No, I don't think so. I think it's in Spain or I don't. It's some place that was supposed to substitute the Bahamas,
no,
but
no, Never Say Never Again is totally James. It's Sean Connery putting on Asian makeup and trying to look squinty eyed because he's in Japan.
no, that's
and
You Only Live Twice.
Is that You Only Live Twice?
Yeah.
They're the same fucking movie in my head. Like,
No,
it's a remake.
no, completely different. No, the
James
'cause
Bond
Never
dies.
Say
He's
Never
brought
Again
back.
was
He's
supposed to be a
Asian.
remake of Thunderball. And that's not the one that's set in Japan.
It's a weird movie.
What, You Only Live Twice?
Yeah, it's a weird
It's a
movie.
great movie. That's one of the best ones.
I'm Sean Connery, but I'm Japanese now.
Yeah, there's no reason to make him Japanese, but it's a weird moment in the movie that really is there for no reason. But I don't know. It's pretty funny.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah,
But Sony, they say
Ninja
busy.
Sean Connery.
Not quite as busy as Amazon, but Sony Picture Classics, I'm very happy about this, especially in terms of the show. They made the first big purchase at Cannes. They landed Paul Verhoeven's next film, Elle. It's his first French film, and it's competing for the Palme d'Or currently.
Where the hell has he been?
He hasn't made a movie in a couple of years. I think 2012 was his last one with Black Book, which I still haven't seen. That one's in, what is it, like Swedish, I want to say. But yeah, he's quoted as saying, Sony's always been my home in the U.S. I'm excited that Sony Classics will take care of Elle. And I did some research. Sure enough, every single American film that he made outside of RoboCop was distributed through
Yeah.
TriStar.
I was gonna say like RoboCop. That was MGM.
That's MGM, yeah. But the RoboCop remake was done with Sony. So,
which also has the MGM logo on it.
yeah. But I'm just saying, it's pretty interesting that they bought this one up. I'm really excited. Means I'll probably go see this one with theaters. I still have to see a good amount of his foreign stuff. I've only seen his stuff in English outside of what is it? It's like Blood and Bone or whatever. Is one with Rutger Hauer. I have to see that too. That was his first not American, but his first English production. I have to see that.
Are you talking about the World War II movie? And
I think it is. Yeah, it
yeah,
was the one.
I think that was Norwegian. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's not an American production, but it's in English, and it has
Okay.
Jennifer Jason Leigh and Rutger Hauer in it, and they
Alright.
speak English. So yeah, I have to see that eventually. It's probably gonna be a Death Cinema, just because of the show, because it's important. But almost at the headlines, getting over tech. I'm really tired. I kind of want to stop the show right here.
You're tired, man. It's like it's 4
Hey,
in the
fuck
morning. It's 4:30 in the morning,
Whatever.
and I have not been sleeping.
We talked last week at the end of the show about that Under the Silver Lake movie with Andrew Garfield, the follow-up to It Follows. It's got a distributor, or at least a financer, or both, I guess. A24 has bought the rights to it at Con. It's coming out. Dakota Johnson was also added to the cast. Really excited about this neo-noir film. I can't wait to see it. Who knows when it's come out? Probably around this time next year. But they didn't stop there. They also got Yorgos Lanthimos' next movie, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, which is the follow-up to The Lobster, which is also going to
Yeah.
star Colin Farrell. Not a fan of that
Coming out
movie.
next week. No, I know you're not. I mean,
No, it's already out.
No, it's expanding next week. I'm getting it here. I might see it. I
Don't.
mean,
I don't think you'll like
here's
it.
the thing. I actually am more interested because I didn't know this, but this is the guy that did Dogtooth, which was
Didn't see it.
that's a real mindfuck.
Yeah, no, I
do
know
not,
it. I
do
know it's
not read
good.
anything about it at all.
I don't think you'll like The Lobster.
I don't. Well, I don't know. I mean, I've seen the trailer enough times now that I might.
No.
I might
I-
at least think it's kind of good.
I
but-
saw the trailer, and that's why I saw it. And I still didn't like it. It seemed like my kind of movie. It's not.
Well, no, it definitely seems weird, but it could be interesting. I'm not
It's no, yeah,
expecting to
no.
like
It's interesting. I didn't like it. I know for a fact there's a 2 cents episode, or maybe it's even a
Yeah, no,
dollar
you
views.
did
It could be
talk
like
about
dollar
it. It
views
was last
one.
year, but
Right, you already talked about it. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, I really, really love Dogtooth. Seriously, if just take my word for it, if you've not heard anything about that movie, don't read anything. Just go into it blind, and the experience will be so much more rewarding because of it.
Well, second to last news about Khan. This one's really big. I think you'll like this. Before he made Bone Tomahawk, the director S. Craig Zoller, he was also an author. He, wrote some things,
Hmm.
and his next, or let me backtrack. One of his books is going to be adapted by the team behind The Martian. It's called Wraiths of the Broken Land. It's going to be made at Fox with Ridley Scott directing, Drew Goddard adapting and writing the screenplay, and Simon Kinberg producing the flick. It's about men of a family seeking revenge for their sisters being forced into prostitution. Has to be good. If you got the Martian team back together, I'm guessing this is going to as soon as he's done doing the Prometheus sequel, this is going to be the next step for him.
Hmm.
Probably going to come out in the next 2 years or so.
Has Prometheus 2 already gone through production?
I
Or
think
is it
it's
started
currently in production. I think it started, and it's like in the early days right now. But yeah, they signed this deal. This is happening, so this is already next on the docket. Pretty exciting. Has Ridley Scott done a Western?
I'm sorry. I just yawned there. I don't think so, no.
I don't think so either. So just that alone should be interesting to see if he can bring anything to that. I mean, he's done enough epics that I know he's able to do that if possible. And this is just like a funny side note. I tried to watch the theatrical cut of Blade Runner this week. I couldn't. I turned it off.
No?
Yeah, it was that bad. Like I knew that Harrison
Sushi.
Ford's
That's what my wife called me.
yeah, like I knew the narration was bad.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that
No,
bad.
it sounds like Ambien. It really...
It was
it's not that horrible, I don't think, though. But you can
the
definitely tell
cut-
that he is disinterested there.
It wasn't even just that. It's just
In the
the
recording
cuts didn't seem that different. Like the movie, just from a visual standpoint, seemed like the same
It's
flick.
pretty much the same thing. Just
It seemed
mainly
like the same
voiceover.
thing, and yet it seems so much shittier.
It's the voiceover and it's the ending. That's really what it is. Because the
I
ending,
should have. Yeah, it's a happy ending. I
Yeah.
should just skip forward to the ending to see, because I did want to see what it was like with him and her and that kind of narration, but I couldn't. I couldn't fucking get there. I had to stop. I had to turn it off really fast. And instead, I watched the not Chris Pine. I watched the Captain America directed Before Sunrise ripoff, which wasn't so bad. It was just
The what?
yeah, it's called Before We Go. It came out in 2012. It was when that whole news item was like, I don't want to be Captain America anymore. I don't want to act in movies. I want to direct. And he made this thing that he stars in, and Alice Eve is across from him. And it is 100% Before Sunrise. It takes place within a 12-hour time span. He meets her in Grand Central Station. They spend the whole night together. They go on an adventure. They might have sex, who knows? And it's just them basically having metaphysical conversation and talking about life and the universe and what's going on and their histories and what they're like as people. And we're just strangers, yet we know each other more passionately than anyone else we've known in our lives. I was like, I've seen this fucking movie before, and this is the shitty version of what it is. And so much so that they even do the whole gag where they pick up a phone, they call themselves in the past to talk about meeting each other. It was
So it is a full-on ripoff.
like a full-on ripoff, yeah, except it's in New York instead. And I was just like, the longest hour and 40 minutes of my life. I really wish I turned it off. It wasn't bad, though. If I had never seen Before Sunrise, I probably would have really liked it. But I was like, I've seen a trilogy of movies that are just like this, except they're better. They're not directed by a first-time director, but it wasn't a bad movie.
I'll take your word for it.
Here's the final con headline, and this one's major. That's for certain people out there. March of the Penguins 2 is coming out, people. It's called March of the Penguins 2: The Call. It was shopped around all throughout the festival. It's going to get bought up soon. It was shot in 4K last winter in Antarctica. Has the same director and crew. I'm pretty sure Morgan Freeman's going to narrate it again. They're probably looking for Oscar Gold.
To Planet Earth. I mean,
probably.
yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, I'm sure it's going to be another success, or at least they're hoping it's going to be. Why the fuck did you make a sequel to March of the Penguins?
Because people like penguins. I mean,
one was enough.
I don't know why.
If March of the Penguins was so much of a hit that they made Happy Feet, okay? So.
Oh yeah, no, it started that whole trend. I don't know. I guess they're trying to bring it back. I don't. You know, maybe having new cameras is a good excuse to show off this stuff. Who knows though? I mean, I really don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of news items left on the show, and I don't really care about them enough to talk about them. Here's a quick,
I think
the
Periscope one really brought me down.
No, here's like a quick rundown. It's like, Amazon Dash buttons can now do Internet of Things. Rumors about what's happening at Google I/O with Android VR. There's a cool one about Views VR making a point-and-shoot camera that's going to sell for $800. Which it's competition. It can't do 3D, but that's basically the show. Like, there's nothing really left. It's already been an hour and a half. I'm really tired. Steve's very, very tired. So that's it. If you liked it, you can leave us a comment. You can say something nice. You can tweet at us. Like us on Facebook. Whatever. I don't care. I don't give a shit at this point. Show went on for a little bit too long. The items weren't as good as I thought they were. At least this would have been better at 9 a.m.
This was kind of an okay week.
It's an okay week.
Yeah.
This was a con week. This was a fucking TV pilot season, what got picked up week. There wasn't anything major, and we covered that pretty quick in the Keeping Tabs section and headlines. And the rest is like I said, it's mostly filler. Like, do you care about Samsung making a Galaxy surfboard so you can see text while you're surfing? No, because it doesn't exist, and it was a gimmick, and it's just for a commercial, just so they can remind you that they're trying to make the world a better place, one device at a time. Not cool. Like, something that is cool this week, these two things, and these are in the also-rans, not even the tech news. Andre the Giant's getting a biopic. If that wasn't cool enough, Broad Green is making a movie, or they're not making a movie, but Ron Shelton, the director of White Man Can't Jump and Bull Durham, is making a movie called Villa Capri, which is going to be his first film since 2003's Hollywood Homicide. It's starring Morgan Freeman and Tommy Lee Jones. It's an action comedy that centers on them, one being an ex-FBI agent, I would assume, Tommy Lee Jones, and an ex-mob lawyer in the Witness Protection Program having to put aside their petty rivalry on the golf course to fend off a mob hit. Sounds awesome. It can't be horrible. But that's the interesting thing this week. Like, do you care about Atari trying to make a Centipede adaptation? No, because we saw really. Pixels. We already saw that adaptation.
Yeah. A version of it, yeah.
A version, sure. But yeah, pretty boring week. But yeah, like I said, that's it. That's the show. Leave us a comment, like us, follow us, write us a review anywhere, iTunes, fucking YouTube. Do it all. Do everything. Do everything for us.
And
we're about
give
8
the
likes.
Other shows a chance too. There's also Dead to Cinema. There's a good discussion that we had on Bound. A really good discussion.
To fall in love. Yeah, that one's not bad.
Yeah,
probably get sued by Kanye soon.
Mm-hmm.
I said we'll probably get sued by Kanye soon.
No, it's fair use.
Not really.
Right? No, not really.
Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, damn it, why'd you sing it? You set me up for it. I couldn't just leave it there.
Singing something is fair. Sampling, using an audio bite is less. Like, you're allowed to, make a cover of a song without paying the copyright holder.
Well,
I think. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure we're fine. We're promoting it after all, so.
Maybe.
And we're not making money off of it, so.
That's the show.
Yep.